Hi, friends. Welcome to this episode of the Grieving Nurse podcast. And this episode, I want to talk about if you are truly alone after your loved one has passed away, um, and what that can look like, what things you can do to help yourself not feel so alone, and to also not be so alone mentally. So, welcome, friends. And as always, I hope you guys are finding this podcast helpful. And if you are, if you would please like, subscribe, share so that others can get help through their grief as well. So, I was posting on Facebook the other day, as I do, and I had commented on somebody's post and I had shared one of my podcast episodes with him, and he responded back that he truly is alone, that his spouse passed away and they don't have any children. They don't have any family, like surviving family members. They really don't have any close friends. Like they were their people, that they were their support system. And so that got me thinking that there probably are a lot of people out there that this is the case, that they don't really have anyone else, that was their person. And so I'm not, I don't want to downplay. I also want to acknowledge that even if you are surrounded by family and friends, grief is very lonely. It is very lonely. It is very isolating. Even this two of the same people or three of the same people, like my siblings and I all lost our parents at the same time. But grief is such a unique journey that even though the circumstances were the same for all three of us, where we were at along the way varied so differently, so drastically, just with like our different personalities and our different styles. What one of us did to grieve, the other one didn't do, or what somebody would suggest, the other one was like, that seems horrible. I don't think I would ever want to do that. The other one's like, yeah, that sounds amazing. Like I'd be up for that. So like I just want to recognize that as well, as even if you're surrounded by family and friends and loved ones, that you might still feel very alone. Well, what about the people who are truly alone? And so, first and foremost, I just want to encourage you, if you are isolating yourself, if you are just basically shutting yourself in, like not getting out very much, to not like you're not doing much of anything, right? And like we live in such a world now where you really don't have to leave your house at all. You could go months on end without seeing anybody, even if you live next to people. So I really encourage people to try not doing a delivery for your groceries, but get out and get to the store and ask yourself, can I talk to five people? Maybe that even just is a hi. How are you? Like maybe it just is talking to the cashier and striking up a very simple, just chatting about the weather conversation. But the point of that exercise is to get your brain on the lookout for ways that you can connect with people. So that is the point of that exercise of trying to get out, trying to talk to people, trying to connect with people. And I know that a lot of times people are already doing this. And so that is good. That is a way to just have human interaction. And we all need that. I know for myself, like I do not like being around a lot of people, but I like when I have an encounter where it's just like a one-on-one or a small group and a way to connect with people. And so as you start practicing this, maybe you have a neighbor that you've never reached out to before or you've never talked to, and maybe this is a great time to just bring, I don't know, some cookies over and be like, hi, like, I noticed that you have a cat. If you ever go anywhere, like, I would love to watch the cat for you. I don't know, something that's like not creepy, but like a way to just start opening the door. The more and more people I talk to, the more that I realize we all have something that we can find a connection on, whether that be maybe they lost somebody recently, or a love of animals, or a love of nature, or whatever it is. Like we all have a small thing that we can find a connection with. And so if you're older and you live in a place where it's all younger people, there's something that you can find common grounds with. I guarantee it. Or if you are, single and everyone around you is married, like there's things that we can connect with on a human level. And so to start looking for those ways, to start getting curious about it, even to start noticing different things about your neighbors, maybe the postman, maybe just different things like that. And reaching out is is a good first step, and keeping it small and simple. Like I said, a good one to start is going to the local library and just maybe getting a library card and striking up a connection with the librarian, or going to a restaurant, and even if you're sitting there by yourself, like bring a book, or you can scroll on your phone or watch a sports game, but like connecting with the people that are there. Another thing that I want to touch on with this is that a lot of times when we feel so lonely and isolated like that, that is a prime time for us to start. I don't want to say you started getting into addictions, but to start gravitating towards things that start to become more of an obsession in our life. And even obsession, I feel like is a strong word. But if you are like, okay, I want to connect with people, I want to go to the bar, maybe you find yourself there more and more when you really don't, you you didn't initially set out doing that. It was to connect with some people on some sort of basis, to have a human interaction. And now you find yourself there a lot more. And or maybe it's just different ways, right? Like for me, again, it was always overeating. And so I would go to these events or different things, and people would be busy around me. And really, all I would do is just stuff my face full of food. And I was miserable. I really was. And I didn't feel any more connected. I didn't really talk to any more people, but I just felt miserable because not only did I feel lonely, but I also almost quote unquote punished myself of I felt so uncomfortable. So the way I'm going to feel that uncomfortableness is with eating. And so if that's what you find yourself doing, again, I just like to get really curious on why I'm doing that. And for me, I know it was because I felt extremely awkward. I felt uncomfortable. I don't like small talk. I really, really don't. And so going and trying to like be social and interact with people, I would rather just be eating. So I have something to do with my hands, so I have something to do with my mouth, so I don't have to like communicate with people. And so I recognize that about myself. And not to say that it's a problem per se, but just to recognize that, do I want to keep doing that or not? Do I want to keep showing up that way or not? And so then once you identify that, then you really can start moving forward on anything. And what I found is that 99% of the time, we do things because we're trying to stop a feeling that we don't want to feel. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to feel awkward. I don't want to feel lonely. So I'm going to turn to this vice that I have, and I'm going to use that to try to fill it up. And so once you start to recognize that, and again, you ask yourself, like, is this how I want to show up or not? Then, quite simply, all we have to do is start to allow those feelings instead of acting upon an urge. And I say quite simply, as it does take time, it does take practice. But once I was able to recognize that and figure that out, that opened so many possibilities for me, because I realized so much of what I was doing was just reacting to feelings. And now that I can allow them and sit with them and they fade away, I don't have to keep reacting on these urges. I can allow this urge of me wanting to go and eat fudge. Okay, so asking yourself also, when it comes down to that, like what do I need and how am I feeling? And so that is really what I work with people on one-on-one, working through all of that, working through what am I feeling? What do I need? Because so often we just are showing up and we're reacting to things. And when you get to a point where you know that's not really what I want, that's really not me living my best life. There's so much more for me out there. And it's hard. It is very, very hard. It is painful. Losing the people we love is one of the most painful things of the human existence. But we all are going to lose people. And I think it just, again, it does not get enough, does not get talked about enough. It does not get acknowledged enough that how hard it is. It does not get acknowledged on the ways that we are trying and we are trying to show up. All that we see are the ways that we're failing. And so I want you to not feel that all the time. I want you to be able to do so much better than I did in my grief and to allow it instead of pushing it away. It's always hindsight is 2020, right? I wish I knew 3 years ago what I know now. I wish I knew 5 years ago what I know now. But my goal is to help you guys through that. And so I invite you to book a free grief consult call with me, and we can walk through this together. We allow those feelings, we talk through them. I recognize that your grief journey is your own. And it's a good place to come and just maybe for the first time be able to express things that you haven't been able to say to others. Or again, if you don't have anybody else in your life, like I strongly, strongly invite you to book that free call and to just reach out and just start there. It's a great place to start. And again, by the end of the call, like you know what's right for you. You know what the next step is. And maybe it's to work with me, maybe it's not. That part doesn't matter. But the part that matters is that you took that time for yourself. And so, again, I just want to encourage everybody to take that little time for themselves. So you can go to book a call at nursegriefcoaching.com, and I am praying for you guys, and I hope that you have the very best possible day that you can.